Good evening to all. I'm Gaurav Bahonia and he is my co-host Cindy Vishal Mahesh Bhai. We are Secretary at Communique, IIT Kharagpur. We are here to welcome you all to second panel discussion of the CDC Placement Training Week with the core profile.
So we have with us a great set of panelists who have excelled in their domains and are present with us to provide plenty of insights about CDC placements. First, we have Akshay Jain, who backed his placement in LAM research. Akshay, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi guys. Very good evening to all. So my name is Akshay Jain, and I recently graduated from IIT Kharagpur with my BTech in Manufacturing Science and Engineering and MTech in Industrial Systems and Engineering. And I got placed at LAM Research as a senior manufacturing engineer, and I've been working there for quite recently, like 2 months. It has been. So yeah, that's about me.
Okay, so next we have Ronak Das, secured his placement in Jaguar Land Rover India Limited. Ronak, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I hope I'm audible. So, good evening to everyone who is
Yeah.
present here. Yeah, so I'm Ronak. I graduated this year, 2021, from IIT Kharagpur with a dual degree in mechanical engineering. I'm from the design specialization. And so, yeah, I joined Jaguar Land Rover like in July as a graduate mechanical engineer trainee, which is for the core profile basically. And so have been working there for a little over 2 months right now.
Okay, thank you Akshay and Ronak again for such a pleasant introduction.
I'm sure that the audience present here will get guidance, a fresh perspective, and a new strategy that they can apply to aid their placement. So now, without any further delay, let's get started with today's session. Coming to the most important question, how to prioritize companies among the diverse pool, with each coming with its own set of incentives and events. So, Akshay, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, so if I understood the question correctly, you're asking how to prioritize the companies that come for core placements, right?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, that actually, like, I'm from mechanical, so that actually depends on which branch you're from, right? And prioritizing companies is completely up to you. So depending on what you are interested in, what the projects are that you have worked on, let's say you're part of a team card, right? And you have an interest in working in the automobile sector, then Bajaj would be a good place for you. Okay, so you're getting my point, I hope.
Yeah.
So I think it basically circles down to your interest and your choices. Given like I was from manufacturing engineering, right? So it's not like I didn't try to go for Jaguar or other companies that came for core placements as well. But in the meanwhile, I concentrated more on the companies which offered the things that I knew as the things that I'll be working on at a later stage in my life. Okay, so this is, I think, a better way to go about it. Like align your interest with the profiles that the companies are offering, and um, I think it's not too much of a question of it's not too much of a question of you know um, prioritizing the companies first, because as we know, like on from a practical standpoint, there aren't too many core companies which visit placements for placements, right? Like as compared to the software companies. So it's good that you're prioritizing the companies, but at the same time, you should not lose sight of other companies that you think that might not have the work that might align with your interest. Right. So you should, I think you should give equal fight for all the companies that come for placements. Just you might have a better shot at the companies that offer profile that align with your interest as well. Right. So you can prioritize those, but at the same time, you should not lose sight of the others as well. Yeah, that's from my side. If Ronak has anything else to add to that, maybe he can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
for your answer. Ronak, would you like to add some more points in this?
I mean, Akshay kind of elucidated all the points pretty clearly. Not really
Yes.
anything else to add, but I guess as ultimately it comes down to what your interest is. And so, considering the range of companies that you're getting in in the core sector, I guess it's just prudent to be prepared. Like, not really, like you can prioritize based on your interest, but I still would say that you prepare the whole, like your subject, and you take your preparation seriously, and just during the course of like applying and giving the tests, like give all of those in a dedicated manner. Like of course, keep your targets specific. Like if you are specifically like me interested in like Bajaj Auto or Jaguar Land Rover, just you will automatically give those tests with a lot more enthusiasm. But at the same time, don't neglect any other opportunities that you're getting in core sector, because you means keep your preparation like solid, but you never know how things might turn out. So I guess that's what it ultimately boils down to. And I guess, even if whatever you prioritize in your head at the first, if you don't get, but last year, as I saw, there were a lot of really interesting opportunities in the core sector. So even if you're giving all of the tests with equal amount of dedication, then even if you don't get in something that you initially thought you wanted, you may end up getting quite a good offer after that. So yeah, so be equally open to all of the opportunities.
Okay.
Hope that answers the
Thank you very
question.
much for your answer. Okay. Thank you very much for your answer. Now moving towards to our next question.
So, as you both are in the different companies, so would you please share your experience about the general selection procedure and how you went about it? So, I would like to ask Akshay. Would you please start on this question?
Okay. So particularly for you're talking from the point of LAM research. There was a theoretical question paper. Like so, there were 10 questions that were asked. The level was easy to moderate. There weren't too many difficult questions, and those questions majorly revolved around the things that you study in your first year, in your a little bit of even JEE times, and a little bit of the major courses that you take in your third or fourth years, like heat transfer, some things like that. I'm not exactly sure whether I remember it correctly or not, right? But as far as I remember, this is how it consists. This is what it consisted of. There were 10 questions, so you had to solve it on your pen and paper, and you have to click a photo and upload it as a PDF. Right. So there weren't MCQs or anything, so you had to theoretically solve everything. Okay. So this was the first round. After that, I think around 15 people were shortlisted. If I'm not wrong, and there were 2 rounds of interview, and the interview was the major part of the selection criteria, right? So in the interview, they grilled you pretty hard. Like it was a 1.5 to 2 hour interview. So the first interview, they asked you everything that was in your resume. So they ask you like describe best project that you have done, like the one that you're most proud of, and all the projects, they basically covered more or less all the projects that we did, uh, that you would have done, and they sort of picked topics off of those, and asked you not too difficult, but some questions that you should definitely know, like the failure criterion, and the basic concepts of heat transfer and something like that. All right. After that, the second round was a bit of technical and HR mixed, right? So in the middle, there were also HR questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So they basically want to know your future aspirations, if you'd be sticking with the company or you'd be interested in doing higher education or something like that. Okay. So I found that, these major core companies, they are looking for candidates who would definitely stick with the company, because as the company that I'm working on, there are very specific tasks that they have given me, right? And if they train me for 2 years and then I fly off to do an MBA or something like that, then that's not a productive investment for the company itself, right? So they try to refrain to invest on such people who might take up different offers at a later stage. So even if I'm not saying that you should not have aspirations, like you should definitely have options open. Like you should, if you want to do an MTech later, masters in the US or anything, you can keep those open, but try and steer the conversations away from the topics when it's brought into such streams, right? So these are the things that I found that I should point out, major point outs in the interviews, and after that was just basic CV grilling and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, basically that was my interview experience.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Akshay. So moving on to Ramak.
Yeah, so I guess the question is kind of you're asking general selection process. So you also want to know, like, apart from my own experience, but let me just first start with what I personally faced in Jaguar Land Rover. So the initial step is the test, and the Jaguar test, unlike the Lamb research test, like we had both given both the tests, but Jaguar test is actually the online objective based test, and there are three sections like logical, coding, and code. So so if you're sitting aiming for Jaguar Land Rover, I would point out that there is a coding section. So don't completely ignore coding for Jaguar Land Rover. And then for the aptitude and code section, it's quite, I wouldn't say easy, but I think you will be able to handle it if your preparation is good. Just revise all the concepts that you have been taught, all the subjects, important subjects. And so the test is the major selection criteria. So once people are shortlisted in the test, they ask you to write an SOP. But that SOP isn't really like any selection factor, because anyone who is shortlisted in the test will be sitting for the interview. The SOP is kind of just a formality. They may bring it up in the interview, like based on what you have written, what your interests are. And so coming to the interview, I guess my interview experience was a lot more relaxed. I mean, it was still quite long, around like I think 50-55 minutes. And so they covered all aspects of your CV. Like in any core company, it really matters to the company that what kind of projects you have done, and you definitely have an edge if you kind of have a background in sort of engineering based projects, or specifically for Jaguar, what I saw was vehicle engineering based projects. Like I think team card people definitely have an advantage. But I personally, again, was not in team card, so it's not like it's the only thing. But I did pursue other projects in the automotive field with some professors in my department. So I was able to speak also on that. And apart from CV stuff, I guess I faced some questions about general like automotive funda, like differentials and stuff. And anyone who is interested in automotive engineering, I guess I would recommend that just follow channels like Engineering Explained on YouTube. You know what I mean. You've obviously seen those channels. So just basic like automotive aptitude and engineering aptitude. It's not like something entirely out of this world. It's something that you can actually answer pretty easily if you just have a grasp on all the basics of automobiles and stuff. And so the majority part will be your CV and your projects, a bit on the general automotive things. I also got one kind of like puzzle kind of question, like I guess, I mean, they are called puzzles, like how many TV sets are there in Kolkata or something like that. Like those things I actually did not prepare and go, so I was a little bit stumped at that, but it was just one question. So it did not matter that much. But at the end, I guess my interview was a lot more relaxed. We were just, I made sure to, let them know that I'm really interested, and I think at the end they also knew. So I think that kind of worked in my favor. And I guess, yeah, so the test, I guess, basically comes in the selection process for any company which is admitting students for the core profile. Apart from that, some companies like Dr. Reddy's have some additional steps like group discussion. And so I think Akshay said that he faced multiple rounds of interview, but I did not. I just had one round of interview around 50-55 minutes. So that will differ from company to company. But yeah, I guess I've kind of given an overview of what my experience was like.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Ramak.
just to add to that. So in my JLR interview, what happened was when I entered the room, there were 6 people sitting, And the first question that I got asked was, do you like Jaguar Land Rover? And of course, I went, yes, I really like. So they said, name one, which is your favorite car that we make, right? And I did not expect that question at all. And I feel a little dumb to admit, but I didn't know any Jaguar cars, right? Because
Oh
it's
my
just a
God.
brand that, yeah. So I pretty much knew that it's not going in my favor then. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, it's not just enough that you have your core preparations in your
Yeah.
side, right? It's important that you are
Mhm.
genuinely interested in
Yeah.
the company, and
Yeah.
you know what they work on, and the programs that they're running. So it's not just, it's a car company, so you would say that it's just the cars that you manufacture. It's not like that. They also sponsors a lot of events, and they do all sorts of things. So it's very important that if you are sitting for such a company, like there aren't too many, right? So you should be well aware of what the
Yeah.
company does and what all things, because any random thing can be asked in an interview, and it makes a very good impression if you are well aware of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
point. Thanks for bringing it up.
yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you, Akshay and Ronak, for answering this. So, going further ahead with the next question.
Okay. The next question is, most of us have doubts about the last moment preparation and strategies and how to revise all the concepts. Which sources to look for to get a quick and efficient amount of practice in this last minute? So Ronak, would you like to take this question and share your views?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is something that has been bugging us not just for this placement, but also from our JE times as well. So it's not
Yes.
something new for us. But yeah, I guess if you're in the habit of like making very concise notes, or even if it's not concise, when you're going through the notes, if you're in the habit of marking out anything important, any important concept you're underlining or circling, so I think that kind of, when you're skimming through your notes at the last second, that really, you can see that clearly. So that kind of really helps. And another resource that I actually consulted, and I actually brought this book out for this occasion. I don't know if you're able to see it properly. The blurring effect is, so this is basically a handbook for mechanical engineering. This is basically a gate preparation book, and so this does not have really many problems, but it's basically like a summary of all the important concepts and formulas from all the important subjects. I hope you can see it. So it's not very costly at all, and it's not that without this book you will be at a disadvantage. I think I was a little bit panicking about the status of my notes, so I kind of invested in this book. But yeah, I don't regret it. So there are some little extra tidbits also on all the chapters which aren't really covered in your regular classes, like some extra with regards to automotives, some extra topics like clutches and stuff, which the theory isn't covered in detail in class. So you could consult this book if you want. Uh, yeah, so I think actually the day before the my interview, I actually was like going through this book repeatedly, and I did not really have to consult any other sources. But I still like to, like, extremely important formulas, I still like jot down in a page, and I often go through those in the morning actually before the interview. But yeah, I don't think there is any like special strategy. One strategy unrelated to actual preparation will be just to keep calm. There is a habit to, like, just cram so much into your head that you kind of panic at the last moment. So it's about striking a balance between that last minute mugging up, but also not going to the point where your brain is completely like fused and you can't think clearly. So just remain calm, prepare well. And so most of your preparation should actually happen beforehand. Last minute we just all like to do. But yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answer. So Akshay, would you like to add some more points in this?
Actually, I think Ronak put it in a very good manner, because I was also trying, would have given the JE example, because there is no point in taking the book before the JE exam. Uh, you know, just it's basically it depends from person to person. For me, I was never the kind of person who would just do it in the last minute. So I would say that you should be prepared beforehand, and of course, before the interview, you are definitely sort of in a panic mode. So that time, you should always try to relax yourself. And one thing that I would like to say is you should try and go over your CV again and again. So the projects that you have written, it's very important that every keyword, every concept that you have mentioned, every course that you have written in your CV, you should be well aware of the basic concepts at least, if not in very detail. Okay, so let's say you have written a project related to heat transfer, and the interviewer asks you something related to it. So you should be able to answer it in a way that he is satisfied in. Okay, so that is very important. And as he said that, Ronak said that you need to be very calm during the interview, right? And there's one line in this series that we all have watched, Alma Matters. He says that जब आप panic कर रहे होते, you're thinking of 5 seconds behind, but when you're confident, you're thinking of 5 seconds ahead. Right. So definitely, it's not important in an interview that you answer all the 10 questions that they have asked, but it's important that the 5 questions that you have answered it satisfactorily and with confidence. You should be able to insinuate to the interviewer that you know what you're talking about, right? Even it's not everything. You don't need to know everything, but the things that you need to know, they should be in a manner that that convinces the interviewer that yes, that you are well prepared. So yeah, that's from my side.
Okay, a really good answer from you, Ivan. Thank you very much to both of you. Now moving towards our next question.
Okay, so acing interview is not at all an easy job, and you both have done so best. So, words of advice on how to well prepare for CDC interview. I would ask Ronak to start with this with some of your tips.
Yes, sure. But let me just begin by saying that for better or worse, like it was better for me, but I actually sat only for one interview. I guess someone who has, like, not to put anyone down who gets placement later, but I think anyone who gives multiple interviews will be much in a much better spot to like answer this question. But still, based on my experience, I guess whatever I said earlier about the selection process. So yeah, as we have been saying repeatedly, like in like test basically will obviously focus on your actual problem solving skills and your subjects and all that kind of theoretical stuff. But once you come in the interview, those things could play a factor, but your major factor will be just you and the interviewer just discussing whatever you have done over whatever how many years you have spent in the institute, all those internships, projects, whatever there are. So as Akshay answered in the previous question, just be prepared to just discuss all of those things that you have written in the CV. So that's extremely important. Like the interviewer should not have any feeling that you're kind of unconfident about underconfident about any aspect of your CV. Yes, and your specific preparation strategy may differ based on the company. So for if it's completely automotive focused like Bajaj Auto or Jaguar Land Rover, I guess you would be focusing primarily on like hardcore automotive stuff, cars, bikes, and all the engineering involved. But I guess then there are also companies that are sort of a little broader application based. I guess there was Caterpillar in our time, which is, I guess, manufactures a lot different kinds of equipments. So I guess a more general kind of mechanical understanding is required for that. So that will depend on differ based on the company. And yeah, and at the end of the day, again, as we said, if you can put forth your interest for the company, that is actually a major plus. Like even if you can't answer any kind of technical based questions, one or two, I think if you're discussing your CV and if you're putting forth your interest for the work that the company is doing, and if you're well prepared about the company itself, those are like huge plus points. So focus on those. You're already preparing your subjects and all stuff for the tests, so just revise those. But for the interview, focus on your CV and what the company is doing. I guess that will always give you an advantage.
Okay, that's great. So, Akshay, any more tips you want to add? Any more points?
Yeah, actually, as Ronak said that he was one of the lucky ones of us, right? So even I gave the JLR interview and I wasn't selected. And Lam Research actually visits on day 3, right? So before that, I actually gave like 7 or 8 different companies interviews. So if you total the interviews, they would be around. This was my 13th or 14th interview, I would say, right? And it's not like I did anything wrong in those interviews, right? Because eventually the interview at Lam Research, it went really great, but it wasn't the first interview that I thought went great, right? It's what like um, most of the things Ronak has covered, right? So I'll talk from a more practical standpoint, and which unfortunately many of us are going to face. Okay, so what happens is you sit on company, and then this company. It's not just you can. It's not a particular set of things that you can do right, and you can say that I'll be selected after this. It's not like that. There are very certain things that very specific requirements some companies might have. There are very specific things that might go wrong. You might not even notice. Okay, so what I'm going to say is you shouldn't let yourself down. It's going to be tough. Like, I'm not going to lie about that. It's going to be really tough. Um, sitting for different interviews in different companies. But what is important is you keep sight of it's not everything. Right? Let's say if you're rejected in a company, it matters at that point of time. I'm not going to lie. Like, it really hurts. Like, if you're not selected. But if you look back, it doesn't really matter. Like, everybody gets placed at the end, right? So point that I'm trying to make is don't let yourself down if you're rejected in 1 or 2 interviews. The important thing is that you keep going again and again at it, right? So prepare for the CV again and again. Ask your friends to help you, do mock interviews, see where you're going wrong. Many times the HR interviews don't go quite well because you are exhausted. You have to give test for the next companies that are coming, and your sleep schedule is really wrecked because there are interviews at 2 a.m. There are interviews at 6 a.m. and all day. Don't, and it's not like there is anything you can do about it. Right? A company calls you for an interview, you have to go there, right? So it's a very tedious and long process, and the important thing to keep inside it is it's not the end of the world if you don't get selected in your dream company. There'll be chances later in life. So I would say that keep going. Um, yeah. So basically, yeah, that's my view on this.
Okay, that was great. Thanks a lot. Okay, so far we have collected some frequently asked questions by the students regarding the core profile. We shall now begin with those.
Okay. One of the question asked was what topics are important and we need to focus more upon. So, any panelists would like to take this question?
Can you say that question once again?
Okay. So the question is, what topics are important and we need to focus which topic.
Really sorry, your voice is breaking. I'm not quite able to hear the question.
It's written in the slide, I
Uh,
guess.
in the slide it is written. So can you please have a look?
What slides?
Or is it not visible on your side?
No, I can't see any slides. Sorry.
So it's basically what topics are important and we need to focus more on
Okay.
topics.
I'm not really sure how to answer that. It was a long time ago that I prepared anything for an interview, right? So I would say the more important thing here is the topics that are mentioned in your CV. Like you mentioned the coursework information, right? So you just write all these like the courses that you think you have done and you are confident with. But most of the time, people just write it and skip over, like not preparing for it. So I would say having a basic handle on those is important. But apart from that, I cannot name any very specific topics. If Ronak has anything to add to that, please.
Yeah, Ronak, do you like to add something more?
So by topics, I guess you mean subjects and other stuff. And I guess
Yeah.
subjects, I don't really need to spell them out for you because it's like you all know what subjects are important. Anything related to core like thermodynamics, fluids, design of machine elements, solid mechanics, thermofluids, all that stuff. You're all well aware of which subjects are important. And Yeah, I don't think this question really requires anything special. And yeah, regarding your CV preparation, whatever Akshay said, of course, what topics are important to focus more upon. So I guess it kind of also ties back into the preparation strategies, and so topics in the sense you could also consider like knowing a bit about the company itself. So that could also be a topic. So yeah, subject, CV, and basic knowledge about the company and their work. These three things.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Ronak, for your answer. Now moving towards our next question.
So our next question is, which companies would require to have a depth knowledge in core? What's your take on this, Akshay?
All of them. All of them.
Yeah, all of them. Like obviously, if a company is asking you, it doesn't want you to skim just over the subject. It wants depth knowledge of all of them, right? So obviously, in the interview, they won't ask you in very deep questions, right? But they are expecting that you know what you're talking about. So I would say, yeah, all of them.
And Ronak, you would like to add something?
I mean, I was the one who said all of them. So
Okay.
yeah, depth by depth, like you are. Like, what is this question saying? Like, some companies will not do not require that much depth knowledge. In my experience, I don't think so, because I mean, you're giving the test for every company, and it's not like in the beginning, whatever I said in the very first question, like you're not prioritizing based on the understanding that this company may require a little bit less knowledge, so I prepare less. You're preparing the same amount for all the companies, and so yeah, I mean, in my experience, I gave like for Jaguar Land Rover. So just have a very strong understanding of core. What I would say. But even for someone who's sitting for Bajaj or Lam Research or whatever else, you all need a depth knowledge in core. So kind of a weird question, but yeah. So assume that all of them require a depth knowledge in core. Just yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. So moving ahead to the next question.
The next question that we have, how different will be the process for dual degree and BTech people? How much will be the interviewer be expecting from a BTech person? So, any of the panelists would like to answer this question?
Yeah. So I don't think there are any difference in expectations from a BTech or MTech student, because eventually the role
Okay.
that they are offering is the same, right? Except for some companies, they specifically say that they want master students for that, right? Because they are expecting, more knowledge, more in-depth knowledge of the things that they need someone to work on. Okay. Apart from that, if they're offering you the role of something, offering you the same role, their expectation of what you know and what you, what you excel in, it's the same. So I wouldn't say there isn't too much difference among the two. Ronak,
Okay. So, Ronak, would you like to add some more points?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you kind of covered it. And you would probably be knowing more because I only faced one interview. And I guess for Jaguar, of course, like even based on the previous year data, so there is no difference in the process for BTech or dual degree. I don't think it even comes up in the interview. They just
yeah,
directly
exactly. It
move
doesn't
to,
even matter in the interview whether
yeah,
you are dual degree or a BTech student. The set of the questions remains the same. What they look is how much work that you have put in your CV, the projects that you have done, and anything like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your answer. Now, moving towards our next question.
Okay, so here is another one of the crucial questions of our CDC placements. How much coding is required for core profiles and how to prepare regarding the same? Ronak, what's your views on this?
Yeah, sure. But the question is written especially electrical or electronics,
Yeah.
but I can't really answer based on that. But so for Jaguar Land Rover, as I mentioned previously, there is a coding section, unlike most of the other core companies, which generally only ask for logical, quant and core sections. There is an additional coding section in Jaguar. So that coding section differs based on your profile. Like depend. So for the mech profile and the electronics profile, you will get two coding questions, which are one is the easy level, one is the medium level. and the software profile will actually not have a separate core section. So because it is a software profile, they will have one more additional coding question itself. But for the core profile in Jaguar, you have 2 coding questions to deal with. And so how much coding is required? I actually did not do coding across my 4 years, like not definitely not significant coding. And so I was a little panicking before the placement process because of that. Like all of a sudden I thought, what if I don't get an opportunity in any core company? So let me just start, skimming through the topics in coding. I would not advise that because coding takes a lot of time and a huge amount of practice to master, especially if you're sitting for the company tests. But specifically, if I talk about the Jaguar profile, I guess you can do with 2 or 3 months of regular practice. I would say, just even if you have not started yet, 2 or 3 months before the interview, just start preparing from sites like HackerRank and InterviewBit and try to solve like small problems based on arrays, linked lists, and all that kind of stuff. For Mech profile, you don't have to worry about the like huge network based like graphs, binary trees, all those kinds of stuff. So if you're sitting for the core profile, you can just get away with simple array based and like function based. But it's just still a little bit tricky, but still manageable if you have like sufficient amount of practice. So I would not say it requires too much practice, but don't completely ignore it also. Like throughout the 2-3 months before the interview, just every week regularly, at least a few days, take 2 or 3 problems. I mentioned the 2 sites, HackerRank and InterviewBit. InterviewBit is actually organized based on the topic, so you can um, just progress based on that. So yeah, and someone is asking, I think, which language, coding language. So I believe they give an option between C and Python. So, and I guess most of us have done C language in our first year in the PDS course, so no issues with that. If so, I myself have done C coding whenever I've done coding, and so yes, Python one I can't clearly remember, but I think there should be a choice. Yeah, so C and Python you should be fine.
Yeah, thank you, Ronak, for your answer. So, Akshay, would you like to add something for this?
Nothing much. Just from the LAMP perspective, there was zero coding required for the Mech profile. All right. I'm not sure for the electrical electronics one. Okay. And rest of the things, I think Ronak pretty much covered it. There's nothing that I would like to add.
Okay, thank you, Akshay. So, moving towards our next part of our session.
Now, we will take the questions from the audience. The chat box is open, so anyone who want to ask the questions or the doubts, they can ask their doubts here, and our panelists will be here to answer their questions. So let's take a 2-minute break for the questions. Okay, so the first question that we got, what is the role of CGPA in the placement? So any of the panelists would like to answer this question?
Good question. I guess I'll speak from my experience. So I'm not a 9-pointer. I'm an 8-pointer. But I guess even with that, I guess with most of the core profile, there wasn't really like the cutoffs were still really low. I think 7 or 7.5, absolutely not more than that. So I guess most of you will be clearing the cutoff like at once, and after that, whatever you have to focus on is your preparation for the core subjects and the interviews. And in my experience, the topic of CGPA never ever came up, like like tests, obviously not, but not even in the interviews. So I guess like after that threshold of like 7.5, you don't really have anything to worry about. But then again, I don't have the interview experience of all the companies. But from what I understand, after that initial cutoff, it doesn't matter that much. Akshay, would you?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Akshay, would you
So
like to add some more points?
yeah, of course, of course. I have a couple of points to add to that. So, as Ronak said, there wasn't a very explicit discussion of how important the CGPA is. But I was also a placement committee member, like in my pre-final year. Okay, so I can tell you from this from the point of view of the company, that even though on the surface they don't tell you that CGPA is very important, unless your interview goes really well or you have something to show for, if basically if it's a tiebreaker between two people, person with the higher CGPA is preferred. Right. So even though explicitly it's not very important, under the surface, I would say that it matters quite a lot. Okay. So like if you have done in good number of projects, or if you have worked with the professors enough, and you're able to convince the interviewer the same thing, then it doesn't really matter. Okay. But when it comes down to selecting between two candidates, and it's then finally it's the CGPA that counts. And it's nothing to be too much worried about, because I actually, even I didn't have a very good CGPA. Okay, but I did have a good number of projects that I'd worked on, certain internships that were relevant, and that's what mattered in the end. Okay, so yeah, so I basically gave you the whole picture. I would say that it's pretty important, but it should not let you down if you don't have a very good CGPA. As Ronak said, that after a threshold, that doesn't really matter too much.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer.
So our next question is that some tips and requirements for getting into German automotive industry. So Akshay, could you please start?
Just like one of the interviews, I really don't know how to answer that. I'm quite frankly going to say it. I don't know, like, what exactly do you mean by the question? I'm not sure. Like, German automotive, are there any particular companies? Do you want to know if you need to know German to get into those companies? I'm not sure what the question is. Sorry.
Yes, and even from the companies that come for the CDC placement, there isn't really any German
Yeah.
automotive company which is coming. So
Yeah. So I don't
I
think you
guess,
need to worry about it.
I mean, if you're really focused on that, then I think you're getting into the territory of off-campus placements, which I'm afraid I can't really help you with. I mean, I guess it's just about like whatever contacts you have and contacting people on LinkedIn, but I'm not an expert in that process. So yeah, I guess you mean like German automotive companies. That much I understand, but yeah, I don't really have a defined process or tips for those because it falls into the territory of off campus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rampant mailing and reaching people out on LinkedIn might be a way. If you have a particular company in mind, or a list of companies that you might be able to get from somewhere. But
Mm.
unfortunately, that's not from us that you might get it. Yeah.
Okay. So now moving towards our next question. Uh, is there any companies that directly shortlist on the basis of CV? If yes, so can you please share your experience and your views on this?
As far as I can remember, there are no companies who shortlist directly on the basis of CV. There will definitely be a qualifying test that you'll have to do, right? And CV comes after that, so you'll first have to qualify the test. I'm talking from the point of core companies particularly, not
Yes.
from not from the FMCGs or anything like that. In FMCGs, what Matt, they also give a certain sort of a test from their website, and along with that, you have to submit a statement of purpose or something similar sort. You would have to write an essay or why you want to join the company, where do you see yourself in 5 years, things like that. You know, but apart from that, I cannot think of any company who directly shortlists on CV on the core profile.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so another question we have, do research internship have a kind of negative impact for placement process?
No, rather on the contrary. If you have done a good project, I think research internship will take you a very long way. In fact, one of the major reasons that I got into LAM research was the project that I did as a research intern in University of Alberta. Okay, so I don't think that's the case. But at the same time, you'll have to, as I initially pointed out, you'll have to convince them you don't have any plans to do masters in go for a PhD, or if you already have a master's, go for an MBA at a later stage, like in the very initial stage, not after 2-3 years. But it's good to steer away from the subject, even if you have that, if you have a plan of doing that. I would say steer clear of the subject, and if it comes to the interview, the straight away answer is that no, I want to work for your company, and yeah. Ronak, anything to add?
No, really. It's quite a common question that comes up actually in all of these forums. But yeah, I guess like I can't speak for the interviewers, but even like the kind of interview experience that I had, there was, I don't think ever a notion whether something I did was a company based some internship or research based internship.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but
All that matters is how good the
yeah.
internship.
Yeah, sure. But I have like based on my conversations with some of my seniors, sometimes I guess if it's a particularly like cranky interview or something, they may like look into that a little bit, but it's not very common, and I think you don't need to worry about it very much. And even if it does come up, as Akshay said, just I guess if you're putting forth your interest towards the company itself, and I guess that will be to your benefit. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So moving towards our next question. What are the companies are there approx that come for the course profile, and how they differentiate between BTech and MTech students?
So are you asking BTech and dual degree or BTech or MTech?
BTech and the dual degree students, yeah.
So I think we have already answered that. Like it's not too much of a difference. Like if it's open for both of them.
Question is written MTech, I guess. Like, are you specifically asking for MTech and dual degree?
Yeah, then there might be some distinctions, because not in the selection criteria. Like if it's open, basically what they'll do is, and I'm talking this from a PlaceCom's perspective, that if they have opened the company for both BTech dual, for all the three, BTech dual and MTech, then there won't be any segregation afterwards. But there are some cases where they just want the JE entrance. Okay, so what they do is they don't open for MTech. So I don't think you need to worry about that too much, but that rarely happens. So, and it's PlaceCom's job to convince the company otherwise to open it for all of them, which happens in 95% of the cases. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah.
So Ronak, would you like to add some more points?
Yeah, I mean, whatever Akshay said, I think the first part of the question is also you're addressing what are the companies there. So you want to know the number of companies or what are the companies. So do I even remember? Like, I think
Exactly.
like basically whatever I can remember immediately, like Bajaj, Jaguar, Lam Research. Then we gave Caterpillar test, Dr. Reddy's. I think Mercedes opens in like for mechanical profile only for the control profile, so it's not really a hardcore like core mechanical like position. So this is based on our experience of last year, but I'm sure there are some that I'm forgetting right now.
Yeah,
But,
and there are more like you cannot count on these companies coming every time, or there might be additions to the list, right? So the companies which never came before, but are coming this time because they want to hire from IIT KGP. So
Yeah.
this is an ever evolving process. So I don't think there's a very particular fixed answer to that.
Okay.
Okay, so here we have another question. If you feel as if you have not done significant amount of projects or necessary ones, which can add a boost to your CV, what do you suggest to overcome that disadvantage? Any of the panelists?
Ronak, would you like to take this one?
I'm thinking I'm not exactly sure how to answer that because that
Yeah,
is of
off the top of my
course,
head, I think doing projects is very important. So
yeah, because that's the
yeah,
biggest kind of factor that like the foundation of your entire interview is based on your discussions on what projects you have done. And like a lot of time, even what I have done and what I could not do because of lack of time. So we were even discussing the future steps and all that. So like I said, my interview was around 50-55 minutes, like at least 30-35 minutes of that was at least 30 minutes was based on like my CV and my projects. So um, I can understand the apprehension behind this question, but it is actually the biggest like criteria. That doesn't mean that you don't apply at all and you don't perform well in the test. I mean, I would not ask you to completely give up hope, but just do know that it does give you an advantage, and not just because of it like looking good on your CV. Like you also it will enhance your own knowledge and you will be able to discuss a lot more. It's kind of like an unofficial proof that you have experience in this field.
yes,
So yeah,
not just experience, but more importantly, interest in the field.
aptitude, yeah, interest and aptitude,
Yeah,
and that
exactly. So if
so
you're, you're really inclined towards the core field, then I would say that you might have had certain projects, right? Or even if not directly related projects, what people do is if they have done some internship which has some part of it vaguely related to the mechanical field, they'll portray that part. So it's basically on how you write it in your CV and how you're able to insinuate to the interviewer that you have done so and so thing. Okay. So yeah, basically boils down to if you have actually done some work in the field or not, and that
Hmm.
comes down to if you actually have an interest in the field or not.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for your answer. Now moving towards our next question. What is the difference in the selection process in terms of core mechanical profile for manufacturing and mechanical engineering?
I don't think there's much. Yeah, any company that is like opening up the applications for both MF and ME, I don't think there will be any disparity like going forward in the process. Like the only disparity I can think of is if any company like directly opens for only ME or only MF, but that's extremely rare. I mean, most of the companies I know open for both of these profiles, and then the selection process is kind of similar for everyone.
Yeah, there would be like one or like maximum one or two companies who would just open for mechanical and that to certain specializations. But other than that, it's open for both mechanical and manufacturing, and there's not too much distinction between the two. And if it comes after the test and during the interview, there is literally like no demarcation. It's a very straightforward process for the both of them equally.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you very much for your
Okay.
answer.
Okay, so another question we have, do you have any experience of company test or interview which are not exactly Mac oriented, but were related to other core profiles like aero controls, etc.?
I remember the Mercedes profile which I mentioned, that was control based profile. And so the only thing there was all the core questions were from systems and control subject. So that was one of the kind of like specific cases which I remember. And I think like Bajaj Auto, the written test kind of covers a lot of different areas in the core part of the tests. So yes, but interviews, I guess. So your questions will obviously be directed to what the profile is asking for. So if it's Airbus and they're asking for an aerodynamic space profile, so your questions will be, I'm talking about the interviews, will be related to that. But yeah, in the tests, I guess it's more of a general mechanical overview, all subjects kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, Akshay, anything add?
Yeah, I am not really sure like what exactly is meant by the question, because if even if Airbus, let's say, it's open for a mechanical profile, so the question in that profile will be towards inclined towards the mechanical side of things, and if it's for the aerospace profile, it will be from their core. So all the tests that I have given, they were for the mechanical profile, and therefore they had mechanical questions. So yeah, I think that should probably answer the question.
Okay, thanks a lot. So
Okay. So that was a really good question and answer session. Any advice or funda that you would like to give to our placement Janta, or anything else that we have missed in the session? Would you like to add?
I um, I think pretty much everything was covered in this session. This is quite a good session. The only thing, I think I've already mentioned this before also. So the important thing is that you do not think like if you are rejected in an interview. So you do not think that this might be the end of the world, because it's not. Eventually, even if you don't get placements through CDC, there will be n number of opportunities laying for you after the placements have ended, like going for masters and applying off campus, and there are a lot of basically everybody will have a job after graduating from IIT. That's basically my point. Okay, so it's important that you don't lose sight of it. I'm not saying that you do not give your 100% to the CDC. You should give your 200%, I'd say, right? But in a circumstances where something is not going your way, it's important that you do not give up. So yeah, that's the basic advice from my side. And other than that, if you would like to ask me anything, that you probably reach out to me on Facebook. I'll try to answer them. Yeah, Ronak?
Yeah, I mean, we covered kind of like everything from the beginning to the end, and so won't be touching any more on the technical aspects or subject preparation. But yeah, I mean, whatever Akshay said, and just I guess one thing that can help you in any aspect, like not regarding any placement, like any kind of challenge in your life, is just to focus on the things that are in your control. So you know what those things in your control are, and so that does not mean that you will not be disappointed or you won't face rejection, but having some faith in the things that you only, if you are focusing only on the things you can control, you will be in a better position to move on from things if things do not like turn out your way. You can be somewhere inside, you will be content that whatever I could do to get things going in my way, I did, but still it did not work out. But then again, let's just focus on the things that are in my control, because interviews are a lot of things, there are a lot of variables which are outside your control. So there is of course an element of luck involved, what kind of interview you get, what kind of panel you get, what kind of questions you get, but then those factors are outside your control and you can't keep yourself beating up about those factors. So which is why I said that just focus on the things that are in your hand that you can influence, which is your preparation and just putting forth your interest. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I've already mentioned this, but again, I would like to stress this point that it's not a given set of instructions that you can follow and say that this will ensure that I will get into a core company or the company that I wish to get in, right? I very lightly pointed out, there will be a lot of things that are not in your control, and it's important to not lose sight of that. Doesn't define the things that you have done so far, or the things that you'll be going to do. Okay, so there will, what I'll say in the end is it's definitely not going to be easy. I'm saying this from my personal experience. I was extremely upset, getting rejected from 10, 12 interview. After 10, 12 interviews, sort of, you know, you you lose sight of where this is headed. But it's important to keep calm, keep going, and realize that in the end, it's all going to be okay. Okay, so it's not like even if I hadn't landed a job in LAM research, I would be sitting idle right now. It's not like that. I'd have, tried in different aspects of my life and excelled at those. I'm sure about that right now. But I didn't know these things back then. So I'm hoping that this, piece of speech will definitely help you with your CDC placements. And a very, very good luck with that. Yeah.
Yeah. All the best to everyone.
Yeah, okay, so we have reached the end of our today's panel discussion. So first we would like to thank our panelists Akshay and Ronak for giving your valuable time from their busy schedule and sharing all the deep insight within us today. It was a very informative discussion for all of us. We would also like to appreciate the audience for being so patient and interactive during the seminar. That's it from our side. I hope the seminar proves helpful for all of you. Thank you for joining and have a pleasant evening ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. All right.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks
Bye.
for joining and all the best. My best wishes. Take
All the
care.
best. Peace.
Be safe.
Bye bye.
Bye.